smiley and proper. Hey guys, and welcome to Everyday Hope Bible Study Edition, where, in case you don't know, we're in the story for kids, so we can get a full understanding of the Bible. This is written completely from the New International Version of the Bible. It holds it to heart. It follows the story very closely. It does take out a little bit of material to keep it kid-friendly. I fill in those parts. So, really glad you guys are joining us. I hope you guys have your copies. If you don't, and you can't afford one, I'll get you one. Otherwise, you can pick one up at Amazon, your local Goodwill or bookstore. And it's a really great read-through. Even if you know the Bible really well and you've read through it several times, just going through a kid's version really gives you perspective on being able to get deep into God's Word and to just understand some of the simple truths in the Bible. And every now and again, you'd be surprised when you learn something you didn't know before. I'm very humbled when that does happen. But you may see next to me, I replaced Alyssa with a younger and cuter model. Just kidding. My daughter Nikki here, and she's going to help us out in reading and answering some trivia questions today. So I told you guys, we'll do a little trivia for fun to test our knowledge. And last time we read chapter 2, for those of you guys remember. So with chapter 2, it was titled God Builds a Nation. So, Abraham had a wife.
Ew.
What was Abraham's wife's name? Do you remember?
Sarah.
Ooh, very good. You say that they can hear you?
Sarah.
I didn't even get multiple choice that time. Okay. Well, tell me this. Abraham and Sarah had a baby together. What was that baby's name? Ishmael, Isaac, or Mike?
Isaac.
Very good. I drew a blank on that last name. Alright, how about this? Were they young or old when they had their baby?
Very, very old.
Very, very old? Yeah. Alright, how about this? What did God ask Abraham to do with Isaac that people thought might be kind of bad?
To sacrifice him.
Did he sacrifice him?
No.
Was he going to?
Yes.
And who stopped him?
God?
Yep, through an angel, but yeah, essentially God. And why do you think God might have tested him and told him to do that? It's not a quiz question, just asking you.
To see if he would listen.
Yeah, I think that's very good, yeah. I think it definitely was to see if Abraham would listen to God, trust God, and love God more than anything else in his life, including his son. And Abraham passed that test and is the father of a nation now and the bloodline of Jesus Christ. So, huge reward there. What a faithful servant. So now, let us jump ahead a couple generations and talk about the story of Joseph. Now, this is a story of Joseph. Joseph's the king of dreams. If you guys seen that movie, it's a pretty cool movie, actually. I'm referring to the one that looks a lot like The Prince of Egypt. It was an animation, hand-drawn. It was a really good movie, though. We watched it. We enjoy it.
Yeah.
Pretty good. So we're going to read that chapter. So if you guys have your books, open up to it. If you want to open up to your Bibles, then that's fine as well. So just wait for them to be ready. Give them a minute to get together. You know where Joseph's found in the Bible?
No.
No? I believe Joseph is found just at the end of Genesis, towards the end of Genesis.
Whoa. He's super old then.
Yeah, he was pretty old. How old do you think that makes him?
He's dead.
Well, he's dead. But how long ago do you think it was that he was born?
5,000 years ago.
I would say that's probably close, right? Like 4,000 or 5,000 years ago, somewhere around there.
Why were the Egyptians against?
Well, this is before that they were against him. That was Moses they were against. Remember?
No. Why do Egyptians hate Israel?
They don't always hate them, but there were times where they hate them. But that can sometimes happen when people don't have the same beliefs or like the same things. Even when you're at school, don't the kids kind of hang out based off who they like, the things they like? Like you and Lily like a lot of the same stuff, right?
Yeah.
Are there girls there that like stuff that you guys don't like?
Yeah.
You don't hang out with them that much, huh? It's hard because you want to hang out with people that like the same stuff as you, and so the Israelites didn't necessarily have the Egyptians. The Egyptians believed in gods they didn't believe in. They had no common ground there, and so they'd often fight about who was right, about who's God, and stuff like that. And we know the only living God was the Israelites' God. All right, so let's read. So Abraham and Sarah, we remember them, right? Their son Isaac, their first son, grew up and got married. He had a son named Jacob. So now we went from Abraham and Sarah to Isaac to Jacob. And God blessed Jacob like he had blessed Abraham and Isaac. Jacob had 12 sons, but his favorite son was Joseph. Joseph's brothers were jealous of him because Jacob gave Joseph a colorful robe. Joseph had unusual dreams about stars and bundles of grain bowing down to him, and he told his brothers about the dreams. When Joseph's brothers realized their younger brother thought they would one day bow down to him, they hated him even more. Jacob said to Joseph, "As you know, your brothers are taking care of the flocks near Shechem. Come, I'm going to send you to them." "All right," Joseph replied. That's his happy-go-lucky voice. "All right, sure, Dad." So Jacob said to him, "Go to your brothers, see how they are doing. Also, see how the flocks are doing. Then come back and tell me." So he sent him away from the Hebron Valley. His brothers saw him a long way off. Before he reached them, they made plans to kill him. "Here comes that dreamer," they said to one another. They sound obnoxious. "Come, let's kill him. Let's throw him into one of these empty wells. Let's say that a wild animal ate him up. Then we'll see whether or not that dream comes true." You know what I'm saying? Reuben heard them. He tried to save Joseph from them. "Now hold on, guys. Let's not take his life. Let's not spill any of his blood. Let's just throw him in the empty well, and then we won't worry about it. We won't harm ourselves." Reuben said this to save Joseph from them. He was hoping he could take him back to his father. When Joseph came to his brothers, he was wearing his beautiful robe. They took it from him and threw him into the well. The well was empty. There wasn't any water in it. Then they sat down to eat their meal. As they did, they saw some Ishmaelite traders coming from Gilead. Their camels were loaded with spices, lotion, and myrrh. They were on their way to take them down to Egypt. Judah said to his brothers, "What will we gain?" Brothers. "What will we gain if we kill our brother and try to cover up what we've done? Come, let's sell him to these traders, not harm ourselves or harm him ourselves. After all, he's our brother." Judah's brother agreed with him. The traders from Midian came by. Joseph's brothers pulled him out of the well. They sold him to the Ishmaelite traders for 8 ounces of silver. I wonder how much that is today.
That's a lot of silver.
8 ounces. I always say it's probably like $100 today. How much did Judas get? It was like equivalent to 4 months' wages.
Yeah.
That was like a bag full, so 8 ounces. It's pretty hefty. Like a month's wages, maybe. Then the traders took him to Egypt. Then they got Joseph's beautiful robe. They killed a goat. The goat did nothing wrong. It wasn't even a sacrifice. And dipped the robe in the blood. They took it back to their father. They said, "We found this. Look at it, Dad. See if it's your son's robe." Like they don't know. Jacob recognized it. He said, "It is my son's robe. A wild animal has eaten him." Joseph must have been torn to pieces. Jacob tore his clothes. He put on black clothing and then sobbed over his son for many days. It was custom in the traditions of the Hebrews, and often still in Middle East culture, when you're truly upset or devastated or a loss has happened, you rip your clothing in anguish. So that's where that comes from. You'll see it throughout the Bible. that when something terrible happens, they rip their clothing, drop to their knees, they often weep. They weren't afraid to show their emotions. For some reason, men are now. We're very prideful.
Since he's an old guy, was he even strong enough to wipe his clothes?
Apparently so, but then again, men worked a lot harder back then. Everything had to be done by hand. Plowing the farm and taking care of the cattle and picking them up. I mean, you were a lot more active, so you're probably a lot more built, a lot stronger, and the clothes weren't like clothes today. These are clothes that they handmade themselves, so I can imagine they weren't quite as durable as what we're used to. But who knows? He could have just had Hulk-like strength too. Alright. All of Jacob's other sons and daughters came to comfort him, but they weren't able to. He said, "I'll be full of sorrow when I go down into the grave to be with my son." So Joseph's father sobbed over him. Joseph had been taken down to Egypt. An Egyptian named Potiphar had brought him from the Ishmaelite traders who had taken him there. Potiphar was one of Pharaoh's officials. He was the captain of the palace guard. The Lord was with Joseph. He gave him great success. Joseph lived in Potiphar's house. Joseph's master saw that the Lord was with him. He saw that the Lord gave Joseph success in everything he did. So Potiphar was pleased with Joseph. He made him his attendant. He put Joseph in charge of his house. And he told Joseph to take good care of everything he owned. From that time on, the Lord blessed Potiphar's family and servants because of Joseph. He blessed everything Potiphar had in his house and field. So Potiphar told Joseph to take good care of everything he owned. With Joseph in charge, he didn't have to worry about anything except the food he ate. Potiphar's wife thought Joseph was very handsome. He must have been a good looker like me.
No, you're not that good.
He must have had a handsome beard. And she wanted to spend time with him. Ooh. Yes,
That's gross. She doesn't even know him.
She's married. I don't know what she's thinking. Joseph knew that he should stay away from her because this was Potiphar's wife. He didn't want to do anything wrong or to make Potiphar mad at him, but Potiphar's wife really liked Joseph, and she tried to get all romantic with him one day.
Ew!
Joseph ran away from her, but he accidentally left his coat behind. When Potiphar came home, his wife lied and said Joseph tried to attack her and smooch her.
Ew!
Oh, maybe I had to smooch. When Joseph's masters heard her story, he became very angry. So he put Joseph in prison. It was a place where the king's prisoners were kept. While Joseph was there in prison, the Lord was with him. He was kind to him. So the man who was running the prison was pleased with Joseph. He put Joseph in charge of all the prisoners, and he made him accountable for everything that was done there. The man who ran the prison didn't pay attention to anything that was in Joseph's care. The Lord was with Joseph. He gave Joseph success in everything he did. Joseph could explain what any dream meant because God gave him the answers. While Joseph was in prison, God used dreams to help Joseph. Pharaoh was mad at his baker and his wine taster and threw them in jail. One night, they both had a strange dream. So they asked Joseph what the dreams meant. Joseph told them, and their dreams came true. The wine taster got out of jail. 2 years went by. One day, the wine taster heard that Pharaoh was having some strange dreams. The wine taster remembered Joseph, and he told Pharaoh that Joseph might be able to tell him what his dreams meant. In the morning, Pharaoh was worried, so he sent for all the magicians and wise men of Egypt. Pharaoh told them this dream, but no one could tell him what it meant. So Pharaoh sent for Joseph. He was quickly brought out of the prison. Joseph shaved himself and changed his clothes, then came to Pharaoh. Pharaoh said to Joseph, "I had a dream." No one can tell me what it means. But I've heard that when you hear a dream, you can explain it. I can do that, Joseph replied to Pharaoh. But God will give Pharaoh the answers he wants. Pharaoh dreamt that 7 fat cows were eaten by 7 skinny cows, and 7 big wheat stalks were eaten by 7 thin ones. When he told Joseph about these dreams, Joseph told him what the dreams meant. There would be 7 years of a big harvest and a lot of food, and there would be 7 years of no food and no harvest that would be grown. God also told Pharaoh had to save food for the 7 good years to make up for the 7 bad years. The plan seemed good to Pharaoh and all his officials, so Pharaoh said to them, "The Spirit of God is in this man. We can't find anyone else like him, can we?" Then Pharaoh said to Joseph, "God has made